Hello, this is Jeremy Gordet presenting my legal issue analysis for EDLP 705. The date is December 1st, 2017. The situation I'd like to talk about today is very serious and something that needs to be addressed in our district right away. There have been a rise in the number of sexual harassment complaints in the school district's middle schools. More girls have been reporting having their chests grabbed and their bottoms smacked by boys during class change and in class. This has been reported in all three middle schools in the district. There have been many repeat offenders and a few who have only been reported offending once. So the investigation for this, there hasn't been any formal investigation reported by the administration. They seem to have taken a bit of a kids will be kids mentality, and that is the feeling that the kids have gotten, the teachers have gotten, and much of the community has expressed. So the punishments for these have not been addressed in a similar fashion. There's been no consistency with the punishments for these students. The administration in each individual school has handled each case differently, and as far as school to school, there has definitely been no communication about how to address this. Some students have not been handed a punishment at all and simply have walked away with a warning, even when there have been witnesses to the harassment. The maximum punishment given so far has only been 2 days of in-school suspension. So when we look at the legal ramifications of this, there's two major things that we should explore that pertains to sexual harassment in schools. The first being the Davis v. Monroe Board of Education would set up some very important precedents when it comes to sexual harassment in schools. Also, the Dear Colleague letter of October 26, 2010 really expresses what is expected from schools when it comes to handling cases that have to do with sexual harassment. So let's compare these side by side. The very first thing we look at is knowledge of the harassment. And again, we'll be comparing the Davis v. Monroe County Board of Ed case and the Dear Colleague letter of October 26, 2010. Now, in the Davis case, it was said that a school is liable for harassment if the school had knowledge of the harassment, whereas in the Dear Colleague letter, it states that the school is liable for harassment if they knew or reasonably should have known about the harassment. So the difference here being that if it's something the school should have known about, then the school could be liable for any type of damages caused by this harassment. Also, in the Davis's case, they define knowledge of the harassment of that being brought to the principal's attention, while in the Dear Colleague letter, it said that a school should know if the harassment happens in the open. So these incidents have been reported in the hallways and in the classrooms, means that they have happened in the open. So it's believed, according to the Dear Colleague letter, that the school should have knowledge of these harassments. So the nature and the effect of the harassment also differs between both of these situations. Again, we'll compare the Davis v. Monroe County and the Dear Colleague letter. So according to the Davis v. Monroe County, harassment is severe, pervasive, and offensive. The "and" here is the big here. It means that it must fit all three criteria. While in the Dear Colleague letter, it says that harassment is something that creates a hostile environment and is severe, pervasive, or persistent. Now, the difference here, the "and" or, is that in the Dear Colleague letter, it only needs to fit one of these criteria. If it's considered severe, pervasive, or persistent, then it is considered harassment, whereas in the Davis case, it has to be all three. For the Davis case, it said that the harassment must interfere or limit participation in education, while in the Dear Colleague letter, it tells us that harassment effectively bars access to educational opportunity or benefit. So again, a big difference here that in the Davis case, it must actually limit their participation or stop them from participating, whereas to effectively bar the educational opportunity or benefit, This includes simply that if the girl is disturbed because of their harassment, then they have barred her access to that educational opportunity. Again, opening this up to many more lawsuits based upon the definition here given in the Dear Colleague letter. So the possible issues we see here, the schools here would be seen as liable for damages under both the precedent from the Davis case and the district and the Dear Colleague letter when we look at knowledge. The harassment has been reported to the principal, and many of the reports have taken place in public. When we look at the nature of the harassment, the school might be safe since the reports do not meet all three criteria. While they have been somewhat severe, they have not seemed to be pervasive if there's only been very few repeat offenders and it has not been constantly on these same victims. However, they have always been seen as being offensive. However, with some of the reports do seem to fit the criteria laid out by the Dear Colleague letter, as they've been severe and they have been pervasive. Now the question is whether or not it causes a poor environment for the student to be learning. Possible steps for solution here. The school district needs to set up a clear sexual harassment policy. There must be specific rules and consequences developed for these actions. The behaviors that constitute sexual harassment need to be defined. We need to know if that is considered sexual harassment or simply bullying or teasing. So first thing we need to do is train the student body. The student body needs to be made aware of what defines sexual harassment, what to do if you're a victim of sexual harassment to make sure we're getting all the reports we can, and what to do if you suspect someone is being sexually harassed. So we need to make sure that if you think someone is being sexually harassed, that they know what to do about that. We also need to, so here's how we can train our students. The students need to be exposed to this information in a number of different ways. It should be addressed at the very first student grade level meeting of the year. Now for this year, there needs to be a special assembly held to address the situation and show the students that how serious of a matter it is. Each year, students use video training during their seminar time to complete a training on sexual harassment. This will allow the students to visually see and understand what sexual harassment is so they cannot deny the knowledge of it. Now, training the teachers also needs to become a priority. Currently, I know that teachers are required to complete a short online video training about sexual harassment. However, this does not seem to be enough since many of the teachers aren't taking this as a serious problem. The principal should explain exactly what the teacher is expected to do if they hear of any reports like this. This information needs to be repeated to the teacher every year before the first day of school, and it needs to be addressed at the faculty meeting. The legal resources used for this presentation were 20 U.S.C. 1681, Section A. We referenced the Davis v. Monroe County Board of Education, and we also referenced the Dear Colleague letter of October 21st, 2010. Thank you for your time, and have a great day.